Welcome back to San Francisco. I have with me again Seth to commentate this final match from the May Berkeley tournament. We have Martin on the left and Peter on the right. And do you want to introduce this matchup in any way, Seth?
Well, we covered Martin's decks in the previous videos, and I'm not that familiar with his opponents. I rarely get a chance to play against
him. So yeah, Peter has been featured on the channel quite a bit. He's a very good player. Andromeda making news usually. A pretty standard Andromeda build for the most part, and a pretty standard fast advance making news. But he's a very solid player. So off the start here, we just have ice install and a restructure, which is exactly what Grendel wants. And it looks like he's trying. Did he just take a credit, or is he trying to decide to install that Grendel? It looks like, or that Grimm, I mean.
Yeah, I think he's deciding on whether to install the Grimm. Grimm in your opening hand is always a hard decision, and putting it as the only ice on the server.
Yeah, if we got an indexing off the start here, then that Grimm wouldn't do much to protect it. So that's kind of why he was hesitating. But some ice is better than none. So we got a...
Yeah, and I think he might suspect Data Sucker before that happens, and firing off a Grimm to kill a Data Sucker.
Sure.
Is not the worst
yeah, probably worthwhile. So we got a sure gamble. He's just going to run in. So not really. I got an ice wall. That's just about perfect for Wayland at this point. So he didn't want to risk putting down a corroder first in case if that was a roto turret. Oh, and he's going in legwork right at the start.
Yeah, even if it was an
Enigma.
Even if it was an Enigma. Oh, this is not good.
Yeah, this is really risky for both of them. That's really interesting. So you got a planned assault, a Katie Jones, and I couldn't tell what the middle one was.
Yeah, but this wasn't on his last click. He was Andromeda, so he's still at full hand size. And since he just saw Martin's whole hand, he knows there was no...
You know what? I think that was his last click, because he did sure gamble, run, corroder, and then legwork.
Yeah, so it was. But he knows that there's no shenanigans in hand.
And that's why Martin just drew up a bunch of cards just looking for a Scorched Earth.
Yeah, but, I mean, if he had done that and it was Snare, Scorch, that was the game.
Right.
But if you're ever going to make the risky play against Grendel, turn one's the time to do it, because they're least likely to have drawn in.
So we got a Siphon here as the first click, and I wouldn't be surprised if he just clears these tags right away. It looks like that's what's going on.
Yeah, you can risk those tags against a lot of people. But
you're going to have to get rid of them eventually. So, I mean, that was still a pretty good Siphon. Just keep the corpse money down. He got a bit of money from that. I think that was a worthwhile Siphon. So we're icing up HQ some more. He doesn't want that to happen again. We don't want a same old thing down. And looks like he's getting ready to maybe advance out an agenda.
I know from experience he likes to have 2 ice before he throws an agenda in there, but he might feel so pressured.
Right, yeah, sometimes you just have to take the risk. And it feels like more and more criminals are at least going down on the number of copies of Inside Job in their hand. There's so many good cards now, and Inside Job is only useful sometimes, so I'll sometimes take that risk. Oh, he's considering the Grim Res here, and yeah, he does snipe the Corroder.
Yep, that's the best possible scenario for a Grim.
He's a Scorched Earth. So I wouldn't be surprised if Peter doesn't have more copies of Corroder or maybe some alternate Barrier Breaker. I think he likes to have a little bit of redundancy.
Yeah, but now that you've killed the Corroder, it's a lot more palatable to put the agenda in the one ice remote.
Yes. Oh, this is not good though.
Oh dear, oh dear.
And I think the money's close enough here. Let's see the power shutdown, and I couldn't quite tell what that was. But Martin's money looks to be maybe is that 9? Do you think he has? Yeah, because he just played a hedge fund.
Yeah, he fired a hedge fund and hasn't spent any money on it.
So it's 9 to 8. It looks like. And we just got an agenda score there, so more money.
Yep, 14. Right where you want to be.
And more money on the runner side as well. So he's just going to go look at some more cards. And lucky, no agenda pulls there. Lucky for the corp.
Well, he did I believe he anonymous tipped before he used that hedge fund, so he did draw a bunch of cards.
Yes, you're true.
Might have hit. He certainly hit that hostile takeover off of it. And maybe, yeah, it looks like he hit.
So this is a Grendel refinery down. With no breakers out, this looks pretty safe.
Is it a Grendel refinery, or is it a...
Oh, sorry, that's what I meant. I meant
fracking.
I get the two confused. Yeah, it's the agenda, the geothermal. You're correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably want to just advance refinery once. Oh, so look at that. Putting the data sucker down, you're kind of giving up on that R&D interface for the time being, at least. But Grendel's gonna draw ice, so I might have held off for one more turn on that, just because it looks like he's gonna score out an agenda. Might have been worth it to see another card there.
Yeah, I don't see the point of installing the data sucker when you're not going to use it. When you're not using it for anything right then.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going into prep mode a little bit. He saw that Grendel was going to score out an agenda, and he was not going to be able to stop it. So he just decided to go into prep mode. Okay, so...
Okay, and now here we see...
Yeah, so he did have something in mind, and this looks like a pretty solid plan. He wanted to draw up to make sure he had enough cards to absorb a snare. Oh, and he scores another agenda. He's at 6 points.
Ooh, yeah. And that's what criminals do if you give them those blind access.
A lot of times as a criminal, I feel I'm okay with letting them score out an agenda like that, because I know they're going to be down on money, and then I could hopefully exploit that next turn.
Yeah, well, that early game leverage was just crippling. It was just...
That was pretty funny. It looked like he power shut down for one, and he discarded another power shutdown. That's a really risky play at this point. The power shutdown for one, because he doesn't have Jackson on the table. I don't think his deck runs Jackson.
Yeah, but I think at this point he had probably decided if the top card of my stack is an agenda, I'm gonna lose if he can access it anyway. And said, I need that.
Right. Yeah, he needed the data sucker dead at this point with the points where they are. He needed that more than he needed. Yeah. Okay. So subliminal messaging getting going. Fantastic card.
Yeah, and this is one of those situations where the double blow of losing your agendas and not having anything to install. He's had a bunch of turns where it'd be totally safe to advance an agenda, and hasn't had an agenda to advance.
I think he has a government contracts in hand, but he might not feel secure enough to score that out.
Not on 7 credits, certainly.
And it wouldn't win him the game right now either. If it was a match point type thing, he'd probably be more likely to try and go for that.
He would do what he's doing right now, which is taking 4.
Yeah. And so we're up to 4 bad pub. I love to track the bad pub in this style deck.
Yes. I know that his current record for a game that he won is 7 bad pub, and the game that he lost is 10.
Which we might have one of those games up on the channel pretty soon, so you can look forward to that one. It was a pretty entertaining game. Alright, and Peter here is just trying to decide what to do. This is kind of an awkward position. He's kind of low on money. His Fem plays off the table. His Femmed Grim. And he doesn't seem to have good econ in his hand right now. He's kind of locked out of the essentials.
And the loss of that corroder meant he can't get an easy account siphon to get his money back.
Yes, exactly. So there's the government contract play. So after he had another 14 credits, he's gonna score out that government contract. What ice do you suppose are above that government contract? Probably
one of those is an archer. I'll guarantee that one of those is an archer. The other one, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a chimera.
Sure, that seems reasonable. Yeah, and Resident Archer to score out a government contract and lose in a hostile takeover is a good thing to do.
Yeah, it's one of his favorite plays.
Oh, it could get interesting here. If that is I mean, he doesn't have a code gate breaker, barrier breaker though, so Chimera will still keep him out even if he gets in with that fairy somehow.
Yeah. Well, there's no way it's 2 sentries. His deck, the way his deck is constructed, just doesn't lend itself to putting 2 sentries on the same server. And he doesn't have a code gate or a barrier breaker, so I don't think there's any real risk of that agenda being stolen.
Oh, what's going on here? Is he stim hack? Oh, no, what is he going to fetch? What would help him here?
Inside job, maybe?
That's a good point.
But going down to 1 credit means that even Fairy couldn't break an Archer.
Yeah, this is really risky. He's hoping that back one's not an Archer. Martin seems eager to res these ice. I think he's just waiting for Peter to finish shuffling up.
Yeah. Well, there's no way it's not going to end the run.
Right.
Since he's down to 1. He's down to 1 credit, so the Fairy can't even break an Archer.
Right. I mean, for Peter, best case here, I think Archer in front and then Chimera or some other end the run in the back, I think would be the best case here for Peter. He wouldn't score the agenda, but it would cost Martin some money at least. That's the best case I can think of. Well, he does have the bad pub, so I think he's 1 off from getting in with the bad pub even, huh? No, he can get in with the bad pub.
Yeah.
He could get through the Archer with the bad pub.
Oh.
So I think he's in, unless if he didn't realize. He forgot about the bad pub. I think he was into that server.
Yeah, well, that's a thing that happens
a
lot. Did you forget about
I always put the bad pub in my credit pool area, just as an extra reminder. And I think that's a...
Yeah, I actually have taken to putting 1 bad pub indicator and then dice to indicate.
Sure, that's just something right in front of you, like in your credit pool area. Oh no. So that is game. That is game. That's
and that
for just to explain what just happened there, because there were people watching. Peter, well, did Peter have a successful run? I don't think there was a success.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Oh no, the Peter reminded him of that. Peter told him okay, so it was going to be a C score. C. Yeah. Anyway, I think people could figure out what happened there, but there was no successful run. So luckily he didn't lose the game immediately. Oh, and I didn't realize that, but Martin had to res 2 Archers there, and lost both of his agendas.
On the other hand, he has a server.
Yeah,
with
so
2
he has a
Archers,
very strong late game here. But some weird things happen there. He had to res 2 Archers. So 2 Archer remote is pretty rare. On top
I was
of
shocked.
that,
I would have sworn that was
Peter could have got in if he realized the bad pub. And on top of that, we had the mistaken C source play. There was a series of like silly things that happened there. It looks like Martin has a Project Atlas in hand. He's considering installing in there.
I can't imagine that if you have a Project Atlas.
Yeah, and he's advancing it twice. There's no way. I mean, what would have to happen?
And the point of this play actually is that this leaves him at 6 credits. Even if he gets account siphoned, he can get that Atlas off the table.
I would be very surprised if he got siphoned here. I mean, Peter's at 0 credits. He lost both his breakers. Now Peter's... Look at that.
It's unlikely, but you can never count out Criminal's ability to just siphon you.
Sure, fair enough. And Peter just then remembered the bad pub. I'm not sure if he realized the mistake before. Alright, so he's just gaining some creds, and Martin is going to score that Atlas out. And I think he has 2 more hostile takeovers in the deck, right? So he has this game in the bag over 2 turns.
It depends. Was one of the stolen ones at the start of the game?
I don't think so. I think Peter's at 6 points. And then 1 hostile takeover was Archered. So assuming that Martin has 2 more in the deck, I think he has us over the next 2 turns.
Yes, I believe he does.
So yeah, you could use the Atlas token to go get a hostile takeover at the start of your turn, install advanced score, and then you do that again the next turn. So what's the phrase I'm looking for? There's something about the clock, the time. Peter's under pressure here to go find those.
Yeah. Now that said, I would rather end the game 1 turn quicker, and I'd probably fetch a 3-2 agenda.
Oh, okay.
Another Atlas, install it, and just take money off.
And that looks like what's happening here is, he installed an ice first. I don't think I don't know what he was worried about. Maybe he was worried about a fem install and then another inside job. That makes sense.
Yeah, in which case he probably just installed an ice ball so that he can. or it wasn't a nice wall, and he's realizing he wouldn't have the money to advance
you're right.
and score it. And, yep.
So he takes another bad pub, but now he gets all the money he needs to res that ice in front of the central servers. So I think that was a stronger play. It did delay the win by another turn, but I think it's the stronger play. And he's just deciding what to discard here. He also got the subliminal messaging money at the start there, so that is definitely paying out. I think he's probably got it about 3 times now.
Now, since power shutdown happened, I really think that the criminal needed to check archives at some point during this.
Yeah, I don't think it would have resulted in a win, but I agree. There was a chance there that there's an agenda there just waiting for him. With the data sucker as well, it would be worth a check. So Martin called that perfectly because we did have a fairy play ready to go. I don't know if the inside job would have been ready. I don't quite see it in hand. Oh, but he has the same old thing down. So he could have... Yeah, he could have ferried and then got the ferry, install it, and the same old thing for the inside job. He could have gotten into that server. So that was smart. Yeah, I'm sure that's what Martin was thinking about here before, you know, when he was deciding what...
Yeah, he just didn't have... Yeah, if he had an ice wall to install as that last one, he would have had just enough money to res the ice wall to get the inside job and still have 3 credits to advance the Atlas. But he didn't have it.
So they just ended the game there. Peter wouldn't have been able to get into that server. And there's the token. Something I'll mention here. I think it's worth... in a situation like this, I mean, Martin definitely had the card in his deck. I'm not questioning his honesty, but I think it's worth making your opponent go to get the card that they're going to win on. Like, force them to go get the hostile takeover. Yeah, just in case. Just in
absolutely.
Case. In this,
because there's plenty of these lists that only run 2 hostile takeovers, because the third one is your 21st.
And people make mistakes. So, like, maybe he, at the last minute, replaced that with a false lead or something and just forgot. So it's worth just checking. Do you want to say anything? That was a really interesting game, I think. I think that was definitely a good comeback. Yeah,
and I feel like that game is a good demonstration of what makes Supermodernism a good deck. Because you saw his opponent went straight to 6 points immediately, but it still finished it off. Really
it's able to
solidly.
get money really quickly, and there was no blast screen installed that game either, right?
And in fact, if he hadn't gone straight to 6 points off that first turn, those first few turns, scoring that government contracts would have killed him.
How do you mean?
When he failed the run on the government contracts, and Martin had the sea sword.
Oh, right. He could have let him take the government contracts and just scorch them. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay, I want to end the recording here, and then we'll have the next game up on the channel real soon. So thanks for watching, and we'll have more soon.